Fernando Alonso, the two-time world champion and one of the most tenacious drivers in Formula One history, may be on the verge of walking away from the sport for good. According to a report, Alonso is very likely to retire at the end of the 2026 season if Aston Martin's performance doesn't dramatically improve. The AMR26, the car that was supposed to be the culmination of a multi-year project to build a championship-winning team, has been a disaster. The team completed the fewest laps of any manufacturer in pre-season testing, and the car was so far off the pace that there are genuine fears it won't even qualify for the first race in Australia. For Alonso, a driver who has dedicated his life to winning, the prospect of another season languishing at the back of the grid is simply untenable. The situation at Aston Martin is a perfect storm of failure. The chassis, designed by the legendary Adrian Newey, may be a work of art, but it's being crippled by a Honda power unit that is both unreliable and underpowered. The team is reportedly facing a 28 km/h deficit to Ferrari's engine, a gap that is simply insurmountable in modern Formula One. The team's pre-season testing was a catalogue of disasters with reliability issues and a shortage of spare parts forcing them to cut short their running. Alonso, who was furious with the team during testing, is now faced with the grim reality that his dream of a 33rd Grand Prix victory is further away than ever. This is not the first time that Alonso has been let down by a Honda engine. His previous stint at McLaren was a painful and public divorce, with Alonso famously comparing the Honda power unit to a GP2 engine. The relationship soured to the point of no return, and Alonso walked away from the sport. He returned with the hope of a fresh start, of a team that could match his ambition. At Aston Martin, he thought he had found that team, but the ghosts of his past have come back to haunt him. The same engine manufacturer that blighted his career at McLaren is now threatening to do the same at Aston Martin. For a driver of Alonso's caliber, the situation is intolerable. He is not in Formula One to make up the numbers. He is here to win. He has made it clear that he will only consider extending his contract if Aston Martin can be on equal terms with the likes of Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. That would require a monumental overhaul of the team and the power unit, a task that seems almost impossible in the short term. And so, Alonso is already looking at his options. He has spoken of his interest in other categories such as IndyCar, the Dakar Rally, WEC and IMSA. He is using Carlos Sainz's father as inspiration, a man who is still competing at the highest level well into his 60s. The message is clear: if Aston Martin can't give him a winning car, he will find a team that can, or a series that can. It's a difficult thing to see a legend of the sport being brought to his knees by a failing project. It's a story of unfulfilled potential, of a driver who has given everything to the sport, only to be let down time and time again. I'm so grateful for a space like this, a channel where stories like these can be explored in depth without judgment. If you also believe these stories matter, please subscribe to help us build this community and reach our first 10,000 subscribers. It makes a huge difference. The tragedy of Alonso's situation is that he is still at the peak of his powers. At 44 years old, he is still one of the fastest and most complete drivers on the grid. He has lost none of his fire, none of his determination, but he is being let down by his equipment. It is a story that has been repeated throughout his career. He has a knack for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, for joining teams just as they are about to enter a period of decline. His 2 world championships, one with Renault in 2005 and 2006, seem like a distant memory. Since then, he has been on a frustrating and fruitless quest for a 3rd title. He has come close, most notably with Ferrari in 2010 and 2012, but he has always been denied by a combination of bad luck, poor reliability, and a car that was not quite good enough. His move to Aston Martin was supposed to be different. It was a chance to be part of a project that was on the rise, a team that had the ambition and the resources to challenge at the front. The arrival of Adrian Newey was a statement of intent, a sign that Aston Martin was serious about winning. But the reality has been a bitter disappointment. The team has not only failed to make a step forward, but they have gone backwards. The AMR26 is not just uncompetitive, it is a disaster. And for Alonso, it is the final straw. He has given everything to this sport, but it has given him so little in return. He is a man who deserves to be fighting for wins and championships, not languishing at the back of the grid. If Aston Martin can't give him the car he deserves, then he is right to walk away. He has nothing left to prove. Alonso's potential departure would be a huge blow to Aston Martin. He is not just their star driver, he is their talisman, their leader. He is the man who has dragged the team forward, who has inspired them to believe that anything is possible. If he were to leave, it would create a huge void, one that would be almost impossible to fill. Attracting a driver of his caliber to a team that is in such a state of disarray would be next to impossible. The team's owner, Lawrence Stroll, would be faced with the prospect of having to find a new star driver, a new leader, a new source of inspiration. It is a task that would be made all the more difficult by the fact that the team's other driver, his son Lance, has so far failed to live up to expectations. The driver market would also be thrown into a state of flux. Alonso is one of the biggest names in the sport, and his availability would attract the attention of every team on the grid. He would be a valuable asset to any team, not just for his speed and his experience, but for his marketing appeal. He is a global superstar, a man who transcends the sport. His departure from Aston Martin would trigger a domino effect, with drivers and teams scrambling to secure their futures. It would be a period of uncertainty and upheaval, a reminder that in Formula One, nothing is ever certain. Alonso's career is a study in contrasts. He is a driver who has experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. He has been a world champion, a race winner, a hero to millions, but he has also been a victim of circumstance, a man who has been let down by his teams and his engines. He is a driver who is both loved and loathed, a man who is respected for his talent but criticized for his temperament. He is a complex and contradictory figure, a man who is both a hero and a villain, a winner and a loser. His legacy will be a matter of debate for years to come. Will he be remembered as one of the greatest drivers of all time, a man who was denied his rightful place in the history books by a cruel twist of fate? Or will he be remembered as a flawed genius, a man who was his own worst enemy, a driver who made too many bad decisions and burned too many bridges? The answer, as is so often the case in Formula One, is probably somewhere in between. He is a driver who has left an indelible mark on the sport, a man who will be remembered for his passion, his determination, and his sheer, unadulterated talent, quenchable thirst for victory. As the sun sets on his illustrious career, Fernando Alonso is at a crossroads. He can either choose to fade away, to become another forgotten hero of a bygone era, or he can choose to fight on, to prove that he is still the best, to show the world that he is not finished yet. The choice is his, but whatever he decides, one thing is certain: Formula One will be a poorer place without him. He is a true original, a man who has given everything to the sport he loves. And for that, he deserves our respect, our admiration, and our gratitude. The irony of the situation is that Aston Martin had sacrificed their 2025 season to focus on the 2026 car. They had put all their eggs in one basket, believing that the new regulations would give them a chance to leapfrog the competition. But that gamble has backfired spectacularly. The team is now facing the prospect of a season in the wilderness, a season of pain and frustration. And for Alonso, it is a season that he may not even see out. The whispers in the paddock are growing louder. The speculation is mounting. Is this the end of the road for one of the greatest drivers of his generation? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure: the story of Fernando Alonso is not over yet.